organization called SCORE. Those of you who saw our earlier podcast know a little bit about SCORE. Maybe you know a lot about SCORE. But what I wanted to talk about today is what do we do for clients? How do clients find us, and how do they use the services that SCORE offers? And so nothing better than to find a SCORE client that used SCORE and maybe still uses SCORE and has found it very helpful. So we're going to find out a little bit about that today as we talk to Tamara Burkett. She has her own company. She is a tremendous business lady. She is a solopreneur, but she is on an upward trajectory. And it was really excited that she said, hey, I'll participate today. So Tamara, thank you so much for joining us. And just a little bit, you've been a SCORE client, but most of all, I wanted to find out, how long have you been on your own business?
Yes, Jim. Well, first, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I've been in business for myself for a little over 8 years. It's hard to imagine that. It doesn't
Oh,
feel like
time
eight
flies.
years. Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been for 8 years, and I've been working with SCORE for 2 years, I believe.
Okay. Okay. So you'd actually been off the launch pad with your company, but
Mhm.
what is it that brought you to SCORE?
Yeah, interesting. So I was one of those people who kind of got caught up in the glitz of glam of paying for really expensive coaches and,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, being a speaker and doing all the things that you see on social media as it relates to being an entrepreneur. And so I got to point in my mind, right, where I realized my business was not progressing as I needed it to. And I was out of money. I just fell out of like with that whole coaching
Sure. Sure.
culture and said, well, I need support. And in the past, I've used different organizations that assisted with business startup, and I kind of felt the services were a little lackluster
Hmm.
because it was just it did not provide the insight to help me with all the nuances and different things that come along with
Right.
starting a business for the first time. So I had a friend who signed up for SCORE, and I kind of was paying attention to her journey. And I thought, I have nothing to lose. Let me figure this out and reach
Yeah.
out and get
Yeah.
some help.
That's interesting because uh, actually, most of the people that come to SCORE can't even afford anything toward coaching and paying for it.
Hmm.
So, and I think one of the things that maybe is a little on the downside with SCORE is that people sometimes get free information, free help. They don't value it like they would if they're paying $200 an hour or something like
Hmm.
that.
Hmm.
And it's nice that somebody like you who had experience in your business
Yes.
would come to SCORE and say, "Hey, look, there's a service out there. Maybe I can." Uh, and just when it comes to the startup phase, everybody's kind of working with
Hmm.
little cash.
Hmm.
So if you can, so that's one of the things I wanted to get out today in this podcast is
Absolutely.
it's a free service, but it's there, and some of the men and women in it are so committed. And I think you worked with we interviewed Lisa Foster here a while back.
Yes.
I
Hmm.
and
Yes.
Lisa could be a high paid consultant.
Oh my goodness. Yes, her and Jay Olson, and just the
Yeah.
caliber of mentors that I have access to. I don't think people
Yeah.
uh really understand the value in SCORE because it is a free service. And it's not packaged in a glamorous light, and use the
Right.
marketing tactics and things of all these different coaches and different companies that
Mhm.
spend a lot of money
Yeah.
in making sure that they look good, like they're
Yeah.
the only option, right? Or they're the option. And so I fell down that tumbled down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for those mistakes I made,
Yeah.
I would not have known the value of SCORE.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, sometimes you get trapped with the glitz and the glitter and all that's shiny, you know?
Yes. Yes. Like you
Yeah.
go to the conference and you get all jazzed up in in that
Yep.
environment with other people, and
Yep.
you're just like, yeah, you're gonna try to put it on a credit card, do whatever it takes to
Right,
get in
right.
this program, because you just know you're gonna walk out of there with
Yeah.
everything you need, making money by the end of 4 or 5 months. And that's just
No.
absolutely not true at all, because you're not really battling against you're really battling self-discipline, or the lack of, because it
Mhm.
takes a lot of self-discipline
Right,
to actually
right.
go through these programs and truly succeed in the time frame that you kind of imagine.
I've been with SCORE 22 years, and over that 22 years, I've seen so many different businesses. A lot of them, I'm sad to say, really didn't get off the launch pad.
Hmm.
When it got tough, like, how do I get a bunch of customers?
Yeah.
Well, there's going to be some marketing things that you're going to have to adhere to,
Hmm.
and it might seem dull and prospecting's not fun.
Hmm.
Looking for new business, and if it looks too hard, a lot of them, said, "Oh, maybe I should just go back to work for somebody." And that doesn't mean they don't come back later, but it
Hmm.
can happen. But over those years, I've grown to be friends with some of the people that I've mentored.
Yeah.
They've gone on to bigger heights, and I'm
Yeah.
really impressed.
Hmm.
And I really feel so grateful that I had a hand in helping them get there.
Right.
So that's why a lot of these men and women that participate in SCORE do it, is because they really have a passion to help small
Yeah.
business. And you're the kind of business people, because you're looking and you know what you need.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Hmm.
so, it's easy to bring that to the table.
Yeah.
And the thing about SCORE is we can get co-mentoring together with other
Hmm.
SCORE mentors.
Hmm.
So how is the response out of SCORE when you first contacted? Was it quick?
It was not quick initially.
Yeah.
I was committed.
Oh,
So, and I know that when you are corresponding through email, that things get lost.
right, right.
So, I had to reach out a couple times, um, and really project my confidence in SCORE,
Mhm.
uh, to the contact person that I spoke
Right.
to, right? So it wasn't, hey, how come you didn't get back to me? It's, I know that you're busy and you
Right.
have a ton of people that you are helping, and I'm so excited about the program. I can't wait till you connect me to an awesome person. So just like projecting that confidence, let them know that I'm serious,
Right.
and let them
Right.
know that, at
You
the same time, I'm
persevered.
grateful. Right.
I I am so impressed with
Yes.
that because
Yes.
you're so right, because, some people give up. They said, "Well, I tried to work with, and I just couldn't." I think I told you the story about a SCORE client last time we talked,
Mm-hmm.
who it took her 5 tries
Mm-hmm.
to get the right mentor at
Mm-hmm.
SCORE
Yeah.
that actually put her on the fast track with her company.
Right.
And I read that in a magazine called Inc. magazine. It was an article about SCORE and this situation, and she didn't give up. She said,
Mm-hmm.
"No." Each one of the mentors she went through said, "I have to bring somebody else in because I don't think I'm." They were great enough to say, good enough to say that they maybe could use a little help themselves when it came
Mm-hmm.
to mentoring this one. And when she finally met the right person, it was all over. She was on a fast track.
Yeah, yeah, and
Yeah.
it's a lot about mindset. Business is so different than working for somebody, because
Mhm.
you can always look to your employer or somebody to help set expectations,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
provide structure. When you don't have structure
Mhm.
and you don't have self-discipline,
It-
it's truly up to you whether something gets done. And if it doesn't get done, no one's going to yell at you. You just
right.
you won't get a check at the end of the day. And so
Yeah.
you don't feel the effects right away until like bills need to be paid and your check account
Right.
don't have enough to cover, right? So
Yeah, and trust me, and you know as well as I do, and I think
mhm,
I've read so much about entrepreneurs over the years
mhm,
that started there.
mhm,
They didn't know if they could make a payroll or not.
right.
It was really, but I remember meeting Mark Bigelman. He was the guy that started Office Depot,
Mm,
and he started out in California, a big warehouse that it's like somebody's one of those big things you see in New York City movies. You know, nothing, just a big warehouse with a
yeah.
wooden desk, and
Mhm,
and people came in. It's kind of like Walmart started, very very meager,
mhm,
and he had Sears Company at that time interested in taking over his company at the
uh-huh,
stage he was at. And he said they flew in on their corporate jets to have this conversation with him. Here he was, not sure how he could make payroll by Friday. It was Tuesday in the week. And he said they wanted to change everything I'd done here. And they made me an offer. And it was a big fat cat offer. And don't think I wasn't tempted to attack it. But he said, I didn't think that I wanted to see it change. I knew what I wanted. My vision was there. So he turned him down. That took a lot of guts.
did.
And he said, I've never looked back and never regretted it. Well, it doesn't always end that happy, but
Right,
it
right.
I think, you've got to, like you said, um, you're the one that's really holding the reins for the company.
Mhm,
Especially if you're the only person in the company
mhm.
and you wear a lot of hats.
You do. You
So,
do. And I think
yeah.
it's important for people to understand that oftentimes if you don't have a relationship, a personal relationship with the business owner, it's easy to assume that you can make $1 million in 3 months, or
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
like the journey is just so clear cut and easy. You just have to say yes. The people who are being highlighted
Mhm.
oftentimes in mainstream, they are not common. When you see all these young 20 something year
Right.
old entrepreneurs who are just killing it in the marketplace, that is not
Mhm.
common.
No. No.
So, people are comparing and assuming that that's what you should expect when you go into business, and
Yeah.
it's not. So yeah, you have to be committed to really to yourself first and foremost,
Right. Right.
and then to the business and in making sure that it succeed. And oftentimes it don't.
Right.
I've tried I don't know how many businesses before I landed on this.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, I have too. If I wrote a book about all the businesses I start and stopped, nobody believe it for one thing, and I
Yeah.
wouldn't believe it, but I did it. I lived it,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
yeah, you don't give up. I mentioned before some people may have not got off the launch pad, but that doesn't mean you can't come back to it.
Right.
Try
Right.
it again.
Hmm.
You mature a little bit, advance. All of a sudden, you find people like Score that maybe can help.
Right. Right.
And so, in your business, your company
Hmm.
is. Let's give out the name of the company first, so people know it's your home name, your own name.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is. It's Tamara Burkett Global.
yeah,
I use my initials for short, G.
yeah. I like your
And
logo.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I put some thought into that logo. So
So, in starting the company, where did you find customers to begin with, or did you start out with some good relationships with
no,
possible customers? No.
no, none of that. None of that. It was I was really just shooting my shot because um my career, I feel like it had stagnated in the nonprofit world, and the love was gone. The
Yeah.
thrill was gone.
Yeah.
And so it was I've
There's a
been
BB King had a song called "The Thrill
right.
Is Gone."
Yes, the thrill was gone. And so from there I was like, I need to figure out how to make this thing work. And
Yeah.
so, I had the opportunity I had like 6 months in between the little package I got from my job and
Yeah. Yep.
unemployment to make this work, right?
Right.
So um
Yeah.
I just went out and said I'm just gonna figure it out.
Your
And
severance
so
pay, so to speak. Yeah.
yeah, it was like
Okay.
severance
Yeah.
pay, right?
Yeah.
And so I just took that time to figure it out. And
Mm-hmm.
there were a few tries there. I thought I can use my passion of, leather crafting and that creativity. And
Yeah. Yeah.
although I love leather and crafting different unique items, I didn't like the business end of it. It just took all the love out of it in terms
All
of
right.
people asking me what if I can make something for them. Da da da. I just wanted it to be I make what I want. If you like it, you buy it. It's like,
Right.
no, that's not how this is gonna work. So it's like, no, that's not. Right. And so I just landed on really thought about my skills and my talent. And I landed in marketing, specializing in CRM selection.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's what I started with, and it has evolved since then.
Customer relationship manager, for those who may, I think
Yeah.
everybody might know what that means, but
Right.
uh, yeah, I heard you talk about that in another podcast, and you grabbed me. I was listening to you talk about it, and I never really, that deep dived enough into it. I thought, if it's just a place to log names of people but there's something to be said with having a good CRM.
Yeah. It
Yeah,
it is.
yeah.
So what I'm realizing now is that CRM is a powerful tool, not just for like it helps you keep in relation with your network and
Hmm.
your customers and whatnot.
Right, right,
The back end of it also is the data. If you're able to maintain the data that you're
right.
collecting from
Yeah,
it, you can pull that and it helps you to forecast, to look at your relationship, how things are evolving, even with products and services, and be able
sure.
to draw some conclusions to start building your and growing your
Yeah,
business and adding in different services or products and different things of that nature. And I saw that when I started, and when I started, it was really the tipping point of the boom. Well, I should say the start of
mm-hmm.
the CRM software
Yeah,
boom,
yeah,
where you had several companies making so many different versions and different
yeah.
features and all these things that it was complicated for people to be able to pick a system. I know I ran through a good handful, 5+ systems within a year, just trying to find something that would suit me.
The right
Um,
fit. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Well, it had become the card file going back to way before technology jumped into the game, and we were
yeah.
we were using pay phones and
Hmm.
dial phones and all
Oh
that stuff.
man,
You
I
don't
remember
remember
that.
that?
Oh, I remember that. I remember the payphones.
Well, that's you know, I thought of CRM as just a fancier card file.
Right,
Now
like
it's electronic, but
right.
it's become so sophisticated. It's
Yeah,
unbelievable.
it is.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
is. It is. And sometimes people kind of get away from the true function and
Mhm.
purpose of having a CRM, and
Right.
that's really to build relationship.
Right.
So can it automate some things and make your work
Right. Right.
faster, easier? Absolutely. It should not take away from relationship. It gives you that opportunity to put more effort into the relationships you're building so you can go deep. And
Yeah.
that's what I'm all about. I'm about
Yeah.
building deep relationships.
Yeah. Well, and believe me, I I think I told you I'm doing a seminar on that
Mhm.
on the 23rd of July called "Building a Business on Endless Referrals," and it's
Oh, yeah.
all about relationships. That's why I'm hoping you'll be there because
Yeah, I have it on my calendar. When you told me the first time, I'm like, put it on the calendar. There we go. Here we go.
yeah, I know, I know. Believe me, I had a mentor that taught me. I thought I was networking back in the day
Mhm.
by just running around with a bunch of business cards and handing them out to anybody that would take one.
Yeah.
maybe 10 I'd give them. Here, hand these out to all your friends, as if
Right. As if they're going to do
tell
it.
everybody, you get on a soapbox. So
We all had those moments
yeah,
where we are so excited and we're just like, we're just going to hand out these business
yeah,
cards.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's going to be so easy. But getting back to getting your first customers, how did
Yeah.
you get that off the launch pad?
Oh yeah, I did
Start to get
join.
revenue coming in. Yeah.
Yeah, I joined a couple of networking groups, and thank goodness they put up with me because I was one of those people. And
Was
so they're like,
BNI
you
one
know
of those?
what? No, it was not a BMI group. Although
Yeah.
I did attend a meeting or two of BMI,
Yeah.
um, and I just that just was not a good fit
Yeah,
for me.
very structured. Yeah, it was a right.
Yeah,
I
it was like I don't know enough people who are looking for your services, so to make it mandatory for me to refer you, it's like I don't even know, you know. So it was just like, yeah, no, that's not a good fit for me. So I was joining different networking groups, getting to know people,
mhm.
right, making an effort, and that's how
Expanding your sphere of influence, as they say.
yes,
Yeah.
I was.
Okay.
And at that time, the virtual online businesses were not very popular at
Hmm.
all. But there were some online groups that I joined, and I
Right.
found my first few customers through those networking groups I joined.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, and one of the things that I try to instill in my clients is building a relationship can take away. And once you start getting referrals coming in from people you contact with, then you go, hey, I don't have to beat my head against the wall chasing clients and hoping that I get enough business to get through next month.
Mhm.
It comes through the door to you, which is really a sweet way to go.
Yeah,
But
it's a great way when you're established. And when
yeah,
I say established, I don't necessarily mean that you've been in business for years. It's
mm,
just that you have your systems,
yeah,
right? And they run decent enough for you to deliver your product or services and your customer experience a benefit from
right,
it,
right,
right?
right.
So it does work. It doesn't work too well if your service or your product is crappy. It's not,
Well,
you're not
no,
going to get the referrals,
you
right?
got that right. It's like
Yeah.
the old days when it was the old saying used to be, "It ain't what you know, kid. It's who you know." You know that
Hmm.
ain't that way today. If you don't know what you're doing and you're trying to get referrals, it's a different world. Don't work like it.
Oh
The good
yeah.
old boy
No.
network is pretty
Right.
dead. Yeah.
It's non-existent because one, you have
Yeah.
your customers are more informed,
Right.
so they
Right.
know, they have more knowledge.
Yep.
Two, the competition is just so
Right.
thick, right? So tight that like mediocrity, it's abundant.
Mm-hmm.
People are
Yep.
looking for exceptional, and that's what's going to set
Right.
you apart now. It's totally different ball game now than what it was back then.
Yeah. And when you get to that level, the customers come to you through
Yeah,
referrals because
absolutely.
people know how you work, and they say, if
Right.
you really want the job done, I've got somebody I'm going to give you. They are part of the know you, like you, trust you
Hmm.
part of the equation.
Absolutely.
So,
I think right now it's the word of mouth does not seem as prevalent as it was back in the day because
yeah,
it's just so we're bombarded with marketing everywhere we go. So
right,
it's so
right,
easy for someone to find a product. It's like, well, it's convenient. So right now,
right,
I feel like we are competing against convenience a lot of times. So
yeah,
that's why
yeah,
it's important to get your name out there. At certain, for sure, it's important to get your name out there, but it's
right,
how you do it now. And it's
right,
if you do it with quality service, your name is going to get out there through people who can speak highly of you, where you don't even have to speak of
yeah,
yourself, right?
and that becomes what people expect,
Hmm.
and all you got to do is make one mistake or have one screw up, and it travels like crazy.
Well,
It,
if you don't know how to make up for screw ups, if you don't, so there's a study, there's statistic out there that if you do make a mistake and
mhm,
you royally mess up,
yeah,
it's the comeback that can make that relationship stronger. If you have
yeah,
a good comeback, if you don't, then that's it. Your reputation is just on its way down. But if you can come back from that and fix it, the relationship is stronger.
People will cut you slack. And that, just like you just said, it's how you handle the situation.
Yeah.
If you run away from it and try to hide from it,
Right.
it's going to bite you.
Mm-hmm.
But if you deal with it head on and fix it,
right,
people will love you.
right, because you hear them, right, and you're working to fix things, to make things right for them.
It'll strengthen the relationship with your
It will.
clients. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah. So I look for that. I look for those opportunities.
Yeah. You now getting back to SCORE. I wonder, are you still working with your SCORE? You're
Oh
still
yeah. Well,
mentoring. Okay.
I passed a milestone.
Yeah.
I'm so pleased with myself. I passed a milestone, and now and now we're looking at bringing another coach
Into the mix. Okay.
into the mix,
Yeah. Yeah.
because now, like, I'm focused on something different in my business.
That's exactly. I found myself getting pretty deep with some clients. I just didn't know how to help them as much as I knew they could be helped.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, let me search around a little bit, because I got, SCORE's got about 10,000 nationwide now,
Oh wow.
about 400 chapters and about 10,000 SCORE volunteers.
Mm-hmm.
So there's plenty of people out there, and it's amazing what you've got as a resource available when you go looking for it. Yeah.
Yeah. And what I
Yeah.
love about SCORE is that the mentors are a little on the modest side.
Yeah.
Like, these are people I can easily picture being like the next Tony Robbins, or just as accomplished, just as competent as what you see these big, influencers online, right? They're just as big, but they don't have to promote it. They don't have to be out there in these digital streets hyping up their name to get people. Like, they've done the work. They have the success. Now they want to give back.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I love that. Yeah.
And that's what when I first got in with SCORE, it just took me a while to figure. I said, well, because I used to work for the Small Business Development Center years ago when I was down in Florida, and they were paid. Everybody was paid. We were all on salary, and they reported to the Small Business Administration (SBDC), to the SBA, and all alphabet soups.
Right.
And when I first, I think I interviewed somebody from SCORE on my radio talk show down there, and his name was Emmett Gum. I remember it to this day. He was so intelligent and so interesting to talk to, and such a great guest. And I said, Emmett, what are you doing this for? You're not getting paid for it. He said, everything you do in life don't have to get paid for. He says, there's other ways to get rewards. And he said, sometimes it's just seeing somebody succeed and giving back, just like you said. I've been very successful, he told me, in my career as a business person. And he said, I want to give back just a little bit to somebody.
Yeah.
And
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, so if I just wanted to just chat with you all day, have access to you, can I? Like, sometimes I kind of want to push the envelope to see how much access can I, how long can I pick your brain for? Like, what?
Yeah, but that's the thing, Scott. I tell my clients, I don't care what day it is or what time, just if you need me, give me a call. If I can't answer the phone immediately, I'm going to get back to you probably within an hour. And even if I can't talk long, I'll get back to them. And yeah, you make yourself available to people, and you feel good about it. You really do. I when you're dealing with a paid consultant, you're looking at your watch. Well, has it been an hour?
Oh my goodness!
Is he going to charge me? It's 55 minutes.
Talking about crunching numbers. Talking about return on investment. You're every second you're trying to crunch that. Like, how much of this second am I getting back?
Right.
Yeah.
Now you're watching the clock, because you're going to have to pay a hefty if you take them more than that, and if you take them into the next hour, even if you don't complete it, the deal is that you pay for the whole hour.
Yeah.
So if you're paying, well, look at a lawyer. You know what the fees lawyers are going to charge, and so do good
Right.
consultants are going to charge those kind of fees.
Yeah.
You're going to pay for it. I'm not saying you won't reach a point where that's not helpful. It is helpful.
Right.
You're going to graduate to being able to maybe but you'll know which ones are the ones that can really help me.
Right.
Sifting through all that can be a real kind of a long journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What you don't know in the business world can hurt you.
Right.
And a lot of people prey on newbies who
Yeah.
are just kind of starstruck and
Oh
just
yeah.
happy
Yeah.
to take on that title,
Yeah.
right? First. So there are a lot of businesses who prey on people like that. And it takes perseverance to be able to get through that.
You know, I've had clients tell me that they don't have any money to really do. I said, can you afford to do this? Can you afford? No, I don't have any money. So let's start from there. I said, but the nice thing is, if you don't have a lot of money, you're going to be very careful of how you spend
Right.
anything. And
Absolutely.
if you're flush with money in the beginning, I've seen it happen so many times. Maybe the parents give them a big chunk of money out of their retirement fund or whatever. Maybe they start with a couple 100,000.
Mm-hmm.
You'd be surprised how fast they go through that money.
Oh yeah.
If they had to
Especially the
earn that
beginning.
money, and if they wouldn't go through it like that. I say, so maybe you're better off starting from scratch. So every dollar you get in, you're going to manage it a little better. You start
Right.
learning money management. That,
Right.
yeah,
Instead of just spinning it like water. So
right,
it's something to be said
yeah,
about bootstrapping if you are starting a business from the ground up. Now, I have a client who is a franchise consultant, and she's been in business for over 30 years. Started owning one franchise and grew it. So she's
yeah,
had the experience of owning a franchise versus business
sure,
startup and investing in all
yeah,
these things. And so to see things from her perspective is eye opening. For
yeah,
somebody who has that type of money starting a
yeah,
business, if the main point to starting a business is to make money, why start from scratch when you can, buy a business
yeah,
and go from there,
right.
right? You have an advantage.
You do if you get
If you
customers
can,
right away. Yeah,
if you can,
yeah.
right? If you can. A
You can
lot of
afford to
us
buy it.
can't.
Yeah,
You're right.
yeah.
A lot of us can't. I didn't have that money. So I had to start bootstrap, right?
Some of the bigger companies, especially banks, you think banks go out and keep looking for new customers? They buy another bank. They keep acquiring clients by mergers and acquisitions, and that's how they get bigger and bigger and bigger. And the bigger they get, the harder they are to deal with.
Well, I mean, just
Yeah,
think about it. It takes so much more to acquire a new customer
right.
than for you to just look at the
Just
existing customers
right,
and have them maybe buy more product, right? Or more
right.
services and things of that
Yeah,
nature. So it makes sense to just buy a business that already has existing customers than like start something
yeah.
brand new, because it takes so much time for you to create the systems, figure out how to get people interested and how to deliver the service and product. Like that is a process in itself. It
Well,
takes
that's
time.
why people buy franchises
Yeah.
because there's a methodology there.
Right.
They don't have to figure all that out. Those systems come along with that
Right.
franchise
They're already
purchase.
in
So,
place
yeah,
and they have the support, right?
yeah,
So should
right,
another pandemic come around,
right,
you can call somebody like, hey, what
yeah.
do I do
This
as a
isn't working. What do I do?
right. You
Yeah,
better fix it. At least you can tell somebody they better fix it, right? Franchise.
you got it. Well, but you're going to pay a big franchise fee. You're paying for everything you get. You're going to have to
Yes.
give up royalties out of each month's. They
Yes.
comes right off the top.
Yep.
So there's an upside and downside to everything. But
Yes.
just you hit it right in the head. It's going to take longer to build it from scratch. It's like
Mhm.
baking that cake or buying a angel food at the store and just putting
Mhm.
frosting on it.
Right. I mean, and there's a higher risk that it won't
Yeah.
work out, right? When you
Right.
do something
Yeah.
from scratch,
Yeah.
but the reward is bitter. It can be bigger too, right?
But
So there's a lot of ways to play this
Yeah.
business game, right?
But
A
that's,
lot of
I
different ways.
think, again, getting back to what we first started, that's where I think SCORE can come in, because I made so many mistakes in business that I look back and I say, man, I've made every mistake you could make. I trusted people I shouldn't have, put money into things. Everybody that walked in the door that had a sales pitch, I was
Mm-hmm.
buying stuff from them
Mm-hmm.
until I
Mm-hmm.
was broke.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and there's no refunds on any of it,
No.
So it's just, you learn. And I said, if I can get on board and help people, and then I finally hit a couple of businesses where really, really struck it, what a good fortune
Yeah.
and good contacts, good
Mm-hmm.
relationships,
Yeah.
using that network of referral clients coming to me. It worked. It worked so well.
Yeah.
And I built a business up to where I was able to sell it to a bigger company.
Yeah.
And
And that's the goal, right?
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
the, and that's something that I like
yeah,
having conversations with people right away when they talk about starting a business and things like that. It's like, okay, what's the end goal
right,
of this
right,
business? Because you really, when you start it, you do treat it like a baby, but at the
right,
end of the day, it's supposed to provide for you and your family,
right, right. If
right?
it's going to be your source of income, yeah, you're building your future in it.
You're right.
And
Retirement,
and,
right?
and
So
for all the
it needs
money,
to be profitable.
for all the hurdles you had to jump in the beginning, you're looking for a little payback when you finally meet somebody that says, hey, I want to buy this company from you because I
Yes.
like the way it works. The trouble is with being a solopreneur, they want you to go along with the purchase. How do I
Well,
get it to? It don't work as well without you in the mix.
right. So here's the deal. I know this uh young man,
Yeah.
older than me, but young man, right? Who started a business and I hired him for sales. And he's well known in the Milwaukee area for being the sales coach. Well, he got to the point in his business that he was doing so well, a small boutique insurance company hired him to be their president because his personal brand could bring them the visibility they needed to grow their business.
Yeah.
And the insurance company had a platform for him to become even more visible, to grow his brand. So
Yeah.
it was a match made in heaven. And I thought, that is my golden ticket right there, right? To be able to partner
Right.
with a company,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And them recognize me and respect me for my personal brand and the things I've built, and vice versa,
Sure,
right?
sure. That's where you collaborate.
That's where you
Yeah,
collaborate. So it's
yeah,
like I love
yeah.
collaboration,
Right,
right? With
right.
coaches and consultants and whomever, as well as the bigger companies. I just, you have a more freedom.
And it works well as long as the company you're collaborating with doesn't try to, start running the show and you're in and they're in. And that
Right.
sometimes can be, but that doesn't always happen if you structure it right, if you have negotiations about it
Yes.
and you
Have a
work
good
out a deal.
lawyer.
Here's what I agreed to do. Here's what you agreed to do.
Right.
Let's keep, yeah.
Yes.
And companies that succeed with mergers and acquisitions will let the company they purchased operate as they've always been if they're profitable.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you want to fix it?
Right. Right.
So you can
Again.
gradually merge into where you'll make the change, the transition, but you keep it very gradual. You don't want to
Right.
lose customers in doing it. So
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly. And it's, to me, it's just, if you have a good CFO, if you
right,
have a good attorney, right?
right,
Let them
right.
know what your goals are. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it can be a lucrative partnership or collaboration.
It's the first thing when I start with a new client as a SCORE mentor, I ask, what does your vision look like? Let's go out 3 years. That's not that far. Let's go out 3 years. What do you see in 3 years?
Mm-hmm.
And when they can't answer that very well, it's real foggy,
Mm-hmm.
real blurry. And that doesn't mean they won't make it. They won't get somewhere, but their vision's not clear yet.
Right.
Then I'll talk to somebody who, I ask that question, they know to the finest detail it looks like out there. A guy that found that out was the guy that founded IBM.
Mm.
I remember reading about him, and he knew to the color of the neckties that his salesmen were going to wear
Wow.
what his company would look like, right and it came to fruition just like he imagined it,
Yeah.
because he knew where he was going. He didn't get sidetracked. The tunnel vision kind of took over.
Yeah. Yeah. It's important to have the vision, right? And
But
for sure.
Tamara, I want to thank you because I've been taking up so much of your time, and I know you're a busy lady. You are just a delight to talk to. I could talk to you all day.
I feel the same way about you, Jim. This was fun. Thank you
Yeah,
for inviting me.
yeah, I enjoyed every second